What is up, ladies and gents? How's it going? I hope you're doing very well indeed. This is Mr. Matt Tomato. Thank you ever so much for tuning in, and welcome to a quick overview of a small game that I played, a very leisurely game that I've been playing as Castile in EU4 over the past couple of weeks. And well, I wanted to sort of talk about the mod that I was using for this particular campaign, which was the No Alliances mod. And basically, all it does, very simply, is bans alliances. So you cannot ally with any other country. You can still get things like personal unions, you can still vassalize, and stuff like that. However, you can't diplomatically vassalize, because in order to do that you need an alliance, and if alliances are banned, then you can't diplomatically vassalize, but you can still force vassalize or get vassals through sort of events and other things. So the Crimean March, for example, for the Ottomans is still a thing. So I just wanted to go through a couple of the timestamps with this Castilian playthrough here that I played, because it was quite interesting, and just a few sort of tags came up, and I just thought it was generally quite interesting to note. Now I don't have the DLC that enables the timeline mod, so I'm just going to load in a couple of saves, and basically you're just going to go from there. So a pretty standard opening, really. Nothing really happened here early on, other than the usual wars. France and England, for example, the usual sort of stuff. Ottomans attacking Byzantium and whatnot. So go through to 1460 over here, and a few things happen. So I'm playing as Castile over here, so I attacked Portugal and I took some land over this way. Currently in a war with, they're in a war with Morocco, but I took some land over this way, and well, I actually forgot that Castile gets the PU status belli. I completely forgot that they get the personal union CB, so I ended up attacking Portugal and just taking their land, and you know, so I didn't go for the union there. But I thought that was quite interesting here that the other thing that happened is Poland did not take the union with Lithuania, which I thought was quite interesting. And of course, because there's no alliances, they can't ally with each other. So keep an eye on this over here, because this becomes very interesting. I can assure you of that. But nothing else really happens. France takes Brittany, takes its holdings here, and France is actually starting to look quite scary. But nothing else of note, really, to be honest, here. In this instance, but if we go through to 1490, quite interesting turn of events in 1490. I managed to sort of consolidate what the Iberian sort of area over this way. As you can see, the Iberian wedding happened, so I've got the union over Aragon. But I've also got a personal union over Navarra. So Navarra starts with the same dynasty. Sort of left them alone for a while. Aragon didn't attack them, I didn't attack them, couldn't diplo-vassalize, of course. But I ended up forcing them into a union when they didn't have an heir, and basically used Navarra to attack into France over here. So rather than me trying to take all of this stuff over this way, I decided that I was going to attack over here using Navarra, which therefore prompted me, I went to Diplotech 7, actually prompted me to open with influence ideas. Now, you would have thought going exploration, expansion, all that, of course, that's what you're supposed to do, isn't it, as Castile? You're supposed to do all that, but I opened with influence ideas, because what I did was I also took Fez over this way and Tlemcen as subjects. So I suddenly had a decent amount of subjects, including Aragon. So I thought, well, hey, I've got a number of subjects here. Influence ideas might be quite helpful. Also, what I did over this way is I kept Fez as a Sunni vassal over this way, started the annexation process, but I force converted Tlemcen into Catholic, so that they can start converting some of the provinces over here for me, so that when I eventually integrate them, then it will be some Catholic provinces, so my religious unity won't be tanking. The other interesting thing that happened is obviously Burgundy capitalised on all of this, England capitalised on all of this mayhem over here with France. But looking over towards this way, the Ottomans lost a couple of wars, and obviously no alliances and whatnot. So Hungary took on the Ottomans by themselves, which prompted the Mamluks to come in here and attack. And then I think Naples came in and attacked as well over this way. And the Ottomans, even though there was no alliances, they were technically 3-on-1, and they lost a pile of land. So Hungary over here is starting to look quite strong, and this is worth keeping an eye on. Certainly I was very interested in keeping an eye on this. Other than that, a few conglomerates forming Milan, Saxony, and Trier over this way. Of course, Austria remained the emperor, but no allies, of course. So very interesting sort of lineup here. But yeah, the sort of craziness continued. So if we go to 1504, France very much destroyed. It sort of annexed all its appanages, and then, well, didn't have any allies. So it was quite easy to dogpile them, really, because we attacked from the south, England attacked from the north, and subsequently we carried on piling up in here using Navarre as our battering ram. We released Toulouse with a view to taking some land here, and Orleans was formed out of Burgundy. England took advantage of some sort of weakness over this way, attacked into Burgundy, released a bunch of land to Orleans, and then took a whole lot of land from France itself. So England, Castile over here, they're the two juggernauts coming together on this side. Of course, still no exploration for me here. I've gone full into influence ideas and then picked quality. Had a whole load of military points kicking around. Didn't see any use for them, so went into a military idea and decided to go to quality. Also wanted the policy for the Diplo annexation reduction as well, which was quite handy. So went for that instead. I've consolidated North Africa here, but no colonizing. Absolutely no colonizing whatsoever. Now, it did sort of leave the door open here for someone like England, perhaps, but then they took espionage and aristocratic. So there is absolutely no colonialism spawning here. We're into 1504. Colonialism did not spawn at 1500 because absolutely no one was colonizing. Hungary took a second bite at the Ottomans over this way and took even more land. So that was quite interesting. Also, check this out. The demise of Muscovy over this way, because Denmark, of course, has its unions, whereas Muscovy, once it annexes its vassals, cannot make any friends. So between the Danish, Scandinavian, or the Kalmar Union over here, and Uzbek having a laugh, Muscovy died. So no allies means no power for Muscovy. So that was quite interesting, and I thought that was pretty good. So all of the normal powers here are actually struggling, and some of the sort of lesser powers are coming through over this way. Take note of this Trier over here as well. Moving towards 1517 then. A very interesting development in 1517, but not necessarily for myself. So if we go on to 1517 here, basically we're just carrying on here. We took Toulouse, we vassalized Toulouse, we ate up the rest of France. Great Britain formed, and this was this. Touggourt over here I spat out as a subject. Once again, I did the forced conversion thing over here and started feeding Touggourt some lands over this way to be able to convert for me. The biggest thing that happened here, though, was Austria took a bunch of Polish land, but also they forced Bohemia into a union. So Austria actually has all of this here, and well, because they destroyed Poland, Hungary decided to have a go as well, and now there's an exceptionally strong Hungary in here. Lithuania slowly dying. This is just a colossal mess. And well, basically, it was very interesting to watch this because obviously Austria-Hungary traditionally usually friends and all this and all that, but of course no alliances in this game. So was looking forward to perhaps these two coming together and well, seeing whether anybody else could do anything about it, but not really at this point. I'm going to scooch ahead here to 1521, just 4 years. Nothing really of note in terms of changes to the AI, but I made a significant move in 1521. Firstly, I formed Spain, so integrated Aragon and all that, but then decided to take the mission. I'd held off on it for a while, but I decided to take the mission where you get the PU Casus Belli on Naples and pulled Naples into a union. So now I've got all of this Italian land over here and Naples as a very loyal junior partner. So although we look sort of quite big over this way, we're actually a hell of a lot bigger with Navarre, Naples and Touggourt as subjects. Great Britain continuing to eat up the rest of these bits over here. And also worth noting that Trier formed Westphalia. I don't think I've ever seen an AI Westphalia, to be honest. That's a first for me. Let me know if you guys have seen it before, but I certainly haven't. Uzbek starting to fall to some rebels over this way. And if we have a look over this way, the Ming actually playing quite aggressively. And the Manchu formed over here with the tribes as well. Worth noting here because Uzbek and the Manchu, of course, step hordes. So the Ming potentially struggling with the unguarded nomadic frontier disaster over there. We'll move forward to 1538. I think we've got 3 more dates that I just want to pinch in here. Move forward to 1538, and basically I decided that I was quite strong. I was in a good position. The AI tends to struggle with all its landings, so I went for a smash into Great Britain here. The powers over this way coming together, and well, basically we utterly crushed face over here. Because there's so many British holdings over this way, but also Britain decided to suicide itself a little bit. So what they did, I went in for the attack. Well, I wanted to attack, and I was going to attack, and then Great Britain launched an attack, but not on me. They attacked Champagne over here. There's one province minor they attacked, except Champagne, it doesn't actually say here, which would be interesting to know. Champagne over here is part of the HRE. Here we go, there we go. So they're part of the HRE, which means that when Great Britain attacked, they pulled the Emperor in. And so actually what they did is they ended up pulling in Austria, because Austria, of course, Emperor, no allies, of course, but they have Bohemia in the personal union. So Bohemia was called into the war, and because Burgundy, I think, what was happening? Yes, Burgundy had a guarantee over Champagne. So Burgundy was called in as well. So Great Britain attacking this OPM over here in Champagne pulled in Burgundy, Austria and Bohemia into a fight against it, which was not a very smart move. They were struggling, so I decided to pile in as well with my own troops with a view to basically kicking Great Britain off the mainland here. Also worth noting over this way, if we go over here, Ottomans fighting back. Hungary starting to struggle over here, and actually Hungary losing a fair amount of land, and the Ottomans fighting back over this way and taking back a huge pile of land. Even though there's no alliances or anything like that, the Ottomans got stronger and started to take back some land, which is quite interesting. We'll go all the way across to 1592 here. So yeah, the Hungary that was really strong at the start of the game actually starting to weaken a bit, and the Ottomans starting to take full advantage of that. Well, they're probably causing it, to be fair. So I've formed the nation of Spain, of course, and started to push now into West Africa. Fulo and Air over here are 2 vassals. And basically I've just been using them to eat Mali and Oyo slowly but surely. Fulo, I pulled the Catholic force conversion on. Air, I did not. At this point, I was like, well, actually, I've got quite a lot of missionary strength going on from the Spanish ideas and stuff like that. But also, if you have a look, I also took religious ideas. So I took religious for the bonus missionaries, the bonus missionary strength and whatnot. And then diplomatic, because I was playing a whole load of subject games. So you'll see here, still no exploration. Just haven't done it at all. But what has happened is, out of Great Britain over here, I released Brittany. Well, I took the land and then released Brittany as a subject, and Brittany did take exploration ideas. So Brittany started colonizing over here in South America. But you notice, look, there's nothing here. We're nearly in 1600, and almost no one has done anything here, other than Friesland, who has decided to form Frisian La Plata. So Great Britain finally took exploration ideas and started colonizing, and subsequently did Newfoundland and did some Caribbean stuff over here. But who cares? Because I've gone and attacked Great Britain, I've taken some land here, and I've released Wales, and no doubt would start feeding them. So basically, now that I've got the foothold here, Great Britain is basically at my mercy, and I can just plough in over this way as and when I see fit. Austria integrated Bohemia, so we now got a really thick Austria over here. And, well, basically this whole area is just an absolute mess and has been since the start of the game. Yemen sort of got a little bit bigger over this way, and I think, yes, this was the time when King formed the King Empire over this way, which is quite interesting. And basically the last one, which is where I've decided I'm going to end the playthrough, I've sort of reached the point where I'm like, meh, okay, let's try something else. So this is where we're at, but basically it is just the complete and utter demolition of Hungary. This Hungary here is just being utterly destroyed. The Ottomans are having a go, Venice is having a go, Austria is having a go. So that big thick Hungary that we had did not survive, which is a real shame, because it's nice to see Hungary do well. But as you can see here, me over in Great Britain over here, I've fed a significant proportion of land to Wales. I've taken a province, Dumfries here, and then released Scotland, because the plan was obviously to then reconquest all of that. Naples is still under the Union. Air over here is massive. We started moving down here into the Congo, and at this point, I have now taken No, I haven't taken exploration ideas. But what I did do was I had the colonist from the Spanish ideas. So I've gone ahead and started doing some colonizing down here to reach the Congo to give me somebody else to attack. But also the Congo over here is fetishist, we're Catholic. I completed the religious idea group, which gave me Deus Vult. So I'm just going and utterly smash for some easy money and easy pickings over here. Released Cuba as a vassal over here to maybe take some land over this way and reduce the AE a little bit. So, but other than that, it's quite interesting. This Westphalia over here, by the way, have a look at this. Very thick, very nice. Big Westphalia over here in the HRE. So this is the No Alliances mod, and actually it allows countries to just sort of eat each other quite quickly. Bengal over here growing to be quite big, Shun and Qing over here growing to be quite big, Ayutthaya growing to be quite big. So I think the general sort of viewpoint that I have of the No Alliances mod is that it allows a lot of big countries to form. So initially, basically, you're eating up loads of small countries that have no allies and easy pickings, and then eventually you've got a conglomerate of big nations. So I think later in the game, it allows for some absolutely humongous wars. And a lot of the wars got bigger and bigger and bigger as we go through. Like us and the Ottomans here, so myself and the Ottomans, I think I had about 160,000 troops and the Ottomans 170, and we've got a border here, and there was some points where I was like, oh, do I, don't I, you know, that sort of thing. The Ottomans maybe attacking over this way down in Yemen, would that have been a good time? Quite possibly. Ethiopia over here was an interesting wild card. They had a guarantee on Shamar. So they were guaranteeing Shamar, so I was kind of waiting for the Ottomans to attack Shamar, drag Ethiopia in, and I was like, well, that's quite a lot of troops, that's a big war for the Ottomans, could go in there. Austria wasn't a problem, I was umming and ahhing about that. Of course, Spain gets the mission to get the union over Austria, never quite got that far. Austria did decide to royal marry me, even though we didn't have any allies or anything like that, no alliances, but they did royal marry me and never actually rivaled me, which is quite good. And they rivaled the Ottomans as well, so with the border, I was kind of hoping at some point maybe if I went in, Austria might dogpile, but the wars just never lined up, so... but other than that, it's pretty cool. I think this mod is excellent. Let me know if you guys would like to see an actual game with the mod to play through it. I think it's a really cool mod. I really enjoy it. And, yeah, let me know if you'd like to see something with the No Alliances mod. But I do recommend it. If you're interested in, like, some blobbing, some... You know, you avoid some tricksy wars because you're attacking all the small guys and they're just completely defenseless and you can build up quite quickly. And the vassal game is real. I think you can play the vassal game quite well in this mod. But equally, bigger wars will come soon because you have to bear in mind that the AI also has those advantages and can pick off everybody. And so there's a lot of big, powerful nations here now. And I think eventually, if you're interested, you could play some seriously big wars, and it'd be quite fun. And I think the risk as well, so say Austria and the Ottomans get into a nice fight, they're 1v1ing, you know, and all this and all that. It only takes someone else who's got a border with an equally big army, and so you're fighting, say you're the Ottomans, you're fighting Austria. You're like, okay, 1v1, yeah, I could probably take you on. But then someone like Spain comes in and then attacks your southern border, and then Transoceania comes in from it. All of a sudden, it's a 3v1. So even though there's no alliances, you can still find yourself in some sort of nasty situation very quickly. As Hungary found out here, where they were doing very, very well, and then subsequently went whoops, and, well, the two powers next to them, even though they weren't allied, have just eaten them up. So, yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know, if you'd like to see some gameplay as, well, in the No Alliances mod. Didn't really have a goal in mind, to be honest, but I thought it was quite interesting that I never did exploration and just focused purely on European affairs and basically playing the vassal game in Africa and stuff like that. So did it a little bit differently and not how Castile is meant to be played, but hey, it's EU4. I think everyone can play EU4 the way they want to play it. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you'd like to see some of this in the future on the channel, but that's for now. Be sure to subscribe to follow any future videos. See you later, guys. Thank you for your attention.